Local news, better time. This is WECT News at 10 on Fox Wilmington.
Tropical storm Ophelia touching the coast at this hour. Millions of people from the Carolinas up through Delaware are under tropical storm warnings right now, and that includes counties in our part of the state. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Mara McJilton. Getting things started with a First Alert meteorologist Eric Davis. Eric, the wind, rain continuing throughout the night really for us.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I should probably mention, too, that if you're north of Surf City up into Onslow and Carteret County, you actually even have an added hurricane watch. It looks like at least a chance that Tropical Storm Ophelia could briefly reach hurricane status just before landfall. That's likely probably somewhere around Cape Lookout by tomorrow morning. Now, again, tropical storm warnings do remain in effect for Pender and New Hanover County. We also have a flood watch in effect for Pender, New Hanover, and Brunswick County. But the heaviest rain at the moment is actually over in Bladen and Columbus County and turning to the west. We're getting a little bit of a break at the moment here, particularly across Pender and northern portions of New Hanover County, but that break is probably only going to be temporary. We expect more rain to fill in the hours ahead. As far as Ophelia goes, it has a 70-mile-per-hour sustained wind, so close to hurricane status, 33.3 north, 76.6 west. At last check, was about 90 miles to the southeast of the Cape Fear and working its way to the north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Probably still on track for that landfall tomorrow morning in Carteret County. So we'll stay on the west side of the storm, but that still means we're going to have very significant rain overnight tonight, the possibility of a little bit of flash flooding. So stay inside. Ponding on the roadway, hard to see at nighttime, and we'll continue to see coastal impacts certainly through the rest of the evening and into tomorrow morning. But eventually the winds will shift around to a more offshore direction that should limit the coastal problems once we get, say, past tomorrow morning.
Now, Eric, we've heard the rain here on the roof of our studio. We've been hearing the winds. What can we expect for the rest of the night? I
think we're going to expect more of the same, more periods of rain rotating through the area. And some of the rainfall totals may be very impressive. We're already seeing like over 2 inches of rain at Riceville Beach. I think a lot of spots are going to be over 4 inches before it's all is said and done, in some isolated areas as much as 6 inches. That's certainly enough to produce some flash flooding. So that's why we're encouraging people to stay inside. All
right. Thanks so much, Eric. Well, let's go ahead and take a live look right outside of our Fox Wilmington studio. As you can see, still rainy and windy out there. Not a great time to be outside by any means. Get some of the damage here in Wilmington from this storm. This is a tree down in the Sunset Park neighborhood. The tree snapped in half, fell across the road, taking down some power lines with it too. And neighbors said they thought this tree would be a problem in any nearby storm.
We had been concerned about this tree for years, and it was dropping limbs over and over. We called it the Widowmaker, but it finally blew up. I don't know how or why. It might have been just a gust.
Now you can stay in the know all night tonight. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to download the WECT weather app and find links to the latest information about the storm conditions our weather team is tracking. Now, earlier this evening, Governor Roy Cooper signed a state of emergency due to potential impacts from Tropical Storm Ophelia. The governor said first responders and utility crews have the tools necessary to prepare for severe weather. Now, state emergency officials are keeping an eye on the situation here on the coast. The state emergency director released a statement saying his office is monitoring conditions and is in contact with local leaders in case help is needed. As Tropical Storm Ophelia turns towards our coast, gusty winds and rip currents are the biggest concern for neighbors in Surf City. Earlier today, there were surfers out in the water, people checking out the waves from the pier there in Surf City. Surf City's Assistant Fire Chief Tim Hobbs said he doesn't expect the storm to make as big of an impact as Idalia did a few weeks ago, but he says everyone should stay out of the water tomorrow and stay indoors if possible. We spoke to one swimmer who got swept under the pier. He made it out safely, but is giving advice to others to resist the urge to go in the surf.
I would definitely caution against getting out in your vehicle, riding and looking and seeing, because the wind can pick up trash cans or anything else, and it can become a missile hazard and possibly damage your vehicle, damage you, break windows, things of that nature.
Now, Hobbs is also asking everyone to stay off of the roads until this storm passes. And we've seen some flooding on Canal Drive down in Carolina Beach. As you can see, some of those roads have become impassable because of flooding, some of them closed. due to potential flooding. Now, officials are asking people to be safe as possible when driving through the area.
Yeah, we would advise people just to be cautious, stay in if you can. It is a tropical system out there, and the winds may get up. We don't expect damage, and we don't expect to close the bridge, but we're prepared in case things happen. But we would just advise people to just hunker down tonight and just enjoy evening at home and stay clear of any areas that could be of concern.
Now, in the past, we've seen heavy flooding on Canal Drive. This area is used to storms and those strong winds. Some parts of the roads are completely submerged in water, while others are still clear. Now, the rain and wind have been going strong all day. Some people visiting the area say they will just stay inside until the storm passes.
Just lay back, we brought some food with us, cook our own food, and just chill, watch a movie.
I am so excited to be here because I'm born and bred North Carolina. If God forbid something happens, I'm going to die happy because I'm down here at the beach.
Now, further up the coast, some visitors just stayed away altogether because of the storm. Several businesses in the harbor area of the town of Oriental up in Pamlico County closed up shop early for the day. Water levels increased slowly throughout the area, blocking many roads and neighborhoods. Oriental Marina and inn manager Edward Mania says the weather has caused many travelers to cancel their room reservations.
There were fishing tournaments today that were supposed to depart here at the marina, and of course this is not the kind of weather that people will travel afar for just to go fishing. So all that has been canceled for the weekend.
Now, he says despite the weather, the hotel will stay open for business. Here's a look at some of the outages across southeastern North Carolina right now. Outages have just picked up over the last few hours. Those counties north of us also having more issues. Now, the weather is also affecting several big events planned for this weekend. Elizabethtown has postponed its homecoming celebration that was planned for tomorrow. The new date has yet to be announced as of this morning. The Lake Fest at Greenfield Lake Park will now take place on Sunday at 10 o'clock, and the Cape Fear Latino Festival has been pushed back to next week. You can find a list of all of these changes inside this story on our website. A long overdue state budget is now on its way to Governor Roy Cooper's desk. The $30 billion budget cleared its final hurdle in the North Carolina Senate today. The budget includes raises for teachers and state employees, income tax cuts, and an expanded private school voucher program available to families of all income levels. It also contains a provision that would allow state lawmakers to determine which of their records are open to the public. Governor Roy Cooper called it a bad budget.
It is unconstitutional. It shortchanges public education. There's an unconstitutional power grab, and there are provisions to keep secret shady backroom deals. So this is a bad budget.
Now, Governor Roy Cooper says despite that, he still plans to let the bill become law without his signature. That's because budget bill triggers expansion of Medicaid, which will bring health care coverage to 600,000 people across the state. WCT's Zach Solon spoke with a doctor about the benefits of that expansion. He also believes that it will have a positive impact on children.
North Carolina is set to become the 40th state to roll out Medicaid expansion. This means access to Medicaid will be based solely on a person's income, rather than income and other factors, including having a disability or having children. Dr. David Hill with the American Academy of Pediatrics believes children will benefit if their parents have more access to health care.
This is going to be tremendous. Why? Not because we're getting health care for more children, we're getting health care for their parents. But when parents are enrolled in Medicaid, they take better care of their children. There are actually data showing that there is less child neglect when parents have Medicaid, when they have health care.
Hill says the state's hospitals will also see the benefits of Medicaid expansion, especially rural hospitals.
Medicaid expansion is going to transform the ability of rural hospitals and safety net hospitals in North Carolina to provide care for patients. For one thing, the care that they're already providing for free is now going to be reimbursed.
He says the expansion will also help those hospitals attract and retain staff. Under the new law, more than 500,000 North Carolinians will no longer have to worry about affording the cost of care.
We're talking about patients getting medications that will keep them out of the hospital, keep them from getting sick, getting preventive care visits so that they can head off issues like cancer and heart disease and strokes and diabetes before they become critical.
Hill says expanded access to health care leads to more opportunities for low-income families to get the help they need.
Now, Governor Cooper has directed the Department of Health and Human Services to start the process for rolling out Medicaid expansion, but there's no set date when it will happen. You can find more details about this inside this story on our website. Local organizations interested in getting money from the New Hanover Community Endowment have a deadline of midnight tonight to submit their applications. Now, this is the second grant cycle since the endowment was established from the sale of New Hanover Regional Medical Center to Novant Health back in 2021. The endowment handed out $9 million in grants in the first cycle. Board Chairman Bill Cameron says the hope is to give out more funding in this cycle. Recipients will be announced by the end of the year. Now, this week, there's been a lot of attention on the endowment board. As we reported earlier this week, New Hanover County Commissioners voted to appoint Pat Cusack and Woody White to the Community Endowment Board. Both are former county commissioners. They replace Hannah Gage and Dr. Virginia Adams, whose terms expired. Both had hoped to be reelected for that position. Our media partner, Ben Schotman with WHQR, did a deep dive. His report is on our website. He says it's clear there are a lot of unanswered questions about the direction of the endowment.
Attorney General Josh Stein wrote to us after we reached out for comment saying that his office had serious concerns about this. When Stein's office approved the hospital sale that created the endowment 2 years ago, one of the things he required was 2 additional seats on the endowment, specifically to increase the diversity on the board, which was largely white and male. And so diversity of that endowment board is a concern for the AG's office. I will say I don't know exactly what they intend to do about it or legally what they can do about it, but I know that they're looking at it.
Coming up next, the 911 call from the pilot after they ejected themselves from the cockpit. What they say went wrong.